I'm David Smith, and I founded Silicon Valley Business School with the mission of improving the quality of business education while slashing the cost. I'd like to explain to you how we've achieved this. I'm a big believer in education. I've been involved in the high-tech sector in Silicon Valley for over 30 years, and I've seen that a lot of startup companies that have failed, a lot of projects that have failed for reasons that are really highly predictable. And what we need to do is better educate our entrepreneurs, our workers of all types in the high-tech sector in order to understand how business works so that they can be more successful. I've always been interested in the intersection of innovation, entrepreneurship, and business. And I've wanted to educate myself on how to prepare myself for a career in Silicon Valley and the tech sector. So I went to university and studied computer science and economics, and I went to business school. And when I was at business school, I was actually running my own startup company. I had a PC company that was manufacturing PCs. And I found that some of the things that they were teaching us at business school were not really relevant for the high-tech sector and not really relevant for small startup companies. They kind of assumed that you had a business, you had a product, you had a brand, you had a marketing budget, all those things. And so, you know, a lot of the things that I was taught at business school were not exactly relevant for operating in a small startup environment. I did sell my company and joined Apple. I was appointed as the Apple World Marketing Manager, working out of Apple's European head office in Paris, responsible for Apple's global branding. In that role, obviously, I had advertising agencies, actually in most countries in the world, PR agencies, and the courses and the education I had from business school actually proved very useful in that setting when I was at Apple. Now, when I was at Apple, though I could see there were radical changes coming down the line to marketing. There was a digital revolution coming along with CD-ROM, with digital video, and then subsequently the internet. And so I left Apple, came to Silicon Valley, formed a startup company. We produced the first CD-ROM filled with paid advertising. We were pioneers of digital marketing, and the whole marketing world was changing. You know, I've seen the Silicon Valley technologies disrupt industries. It disrupted marketing. If you look at marketing today, it's totally different from what it was many years ago. Most advertising goes through Google, social media, CRM systems are very important. So marketing has been transformed. Also, other systems like accounting systems have been transformed. The world of accounting has changed with accounting systems and software. So Silicon Valley has had an effect and disrupted many businesses, many aspects of business, and actually made many business school courses obsolete. So in my startup companies, I learned about entrepreneurship, venture capital, fundraising, and all those things by forming my own startup companies. I had a company that we produced one of the very first web browsers, one of the first web browsers for kids, the web browsers for TV set-top box. And I went through the whole startup process here in Silicon Valley. The process was, I was always looking for guidance and information on how to run my company, how to drive it towards success. And the information really was very difficult to find. Silicon Valley was not as scientific in the startup process as I hoped it would be. I was successful in raising finance, and I raised finance from some prominent investors, including Bill Gates, who invested in my company. I went to Japan and raised $15 million from Japanese investors in a Silicon Valley startup company, which was pretty unusual at the time. I raised almost $10 million from Chinese investors. So I learned all the skills and actually on the job when I was running my own startup companies. I've now run more than 10 startup companies. And I decided that we needed a roadmap and travel guide for entrepreneurs. So I made notes on my startup journeys, and I authored a book, Zero to IPO, which is a roadmap and travel guide for entrepreneurs. Maps out the process, shows how important it is to generate momentum, shows how important it is to figure out what your exits are going to be if you're going to try an IPO or sell the company in a trade sale. And when I was writing the book and researching the nuts and bolts of business, I found myself dealing with legal documents and legal issues, and I realized that the nuts and bolts of business are assembled by lawyers. They're not assembled by MBAs typically. It's the lawyers that do the financings, the venture capital fundraisings. There's the lawyers that do the mergers and acquisitions and IPOs. They do all the fun stuff, and that's really where a lot of the skills you need I realized, were found in law school. So I enrolled in law school. I went to Santa Clara Law School. I earned my doctorate in law. And yes, I found there at law school there were a lot of very, very valuable courses if you're interested in business. Obviously, there's the standard kind of business courses, business organizations and contracts and all those types of things that you're going to need if you're going to conduct business in Silicon Valley or anywhere else. But there were other courses as well that I found interesting on topics like intellectual property and patents. So I found that I realized then that what the ideal education for preparing for a career in the tech sector involved a combination of law school courses and business school courses. And so I actually started the process of assembling a business school type program and building law school courses into that program. So I left law school. I founded a company in the patents and IP space called Tynax. Tynax is now operates the largest patent exchange in the world. We have over 30,000 patents for sale, and we're brokering patent sale transactions and other types of technology transactions, working with international buyers and sellers. Now, in this role, we're really operating on the front lines of the patent wars and really learning a lot about the motivations of buyers, sellers, and patent strategies in general. And patent wars are big business today. You know, Google spent over $12 billion acquiring some patents from Motorola. So it's a big business. These are topics that are topics for the boardroom. If you want to be a CEO of a large high-tech company or any substantial high-tech company, you need to understand patent strategies. And these are things we teach at Silicon Valley Business School, but they're things that you really will not learn in any other business school. So patent strategies is an example of the types of things that make our courses more relevant. So I mentioned the mission was to improve the quality and slash the cost of business education. On the quality side, we have taken law school courses. Our law school programs are basically the same level. You learn the same things you would learn in a doctorate program at law school, going through a JD program. But we try and make it easier. We don't require you to read so many textbooks and case studies and all those things. We present you with the law and make it much easier and more palatable to non-lawyers. So we have a full law school program. We have spent over 20,000 hours developing our educational courses. We've pre-packaged the courses. We've basically made the investment up front in producing. We've produced hundreds of our own videos we've aggregated videos that we found the best videos of the best experts on various topics online and aggregated them together. And we've built them into an online course using a learning management system that tracks your progress and quizzes you along the way. Basically, we've invested all this up front, and now the whole system is pretty automated. We don't need an instructor to teach you every course every single day. It reduces our costs down, and all the savings that we achieve, we pass on to the students. So we've improved the quality of courses. I think you'll find with our business school courses, the things like digital marketing and entrepreneurship and valuation, I think our courses are really unique and second to none. You'll find that our courses stack up very favorably with even those of the top, most elite business schools in the world. So the quality and the relevancy, I believe, we have achieved improvements there. On the cost side, through automation, we've really managed to slash the costs. And not only have we cut the costs of our courses, a typical course with Silicon Valley Business School is between $150 and $250. And that compares, in many cases, it's less than a tenth of the cost of the comparable traditional business schools. So we have also eliminated all the hidden costs. So we don't charge you for parking fees. We don't charge you for even textbooks. Textbooks are included in the price of the course, and we include the textbooks. There's several textbooks that we've actually had written ourselves, and then we buy the rights and incorporate them into the course. So I think we have managed to improve the quality and slash the cost. We are excited. There's a whole new wave of change coming to the world of education, especially online education. I think finally we're in a position to improve the quality of education and slash the costs. We're delivering on the promise of online education, and I'm very excited that Silicon Valley Business School is part of this new wave. So we're hoping that Silicon Valley Business School provides a springboard for the next generation of startup entrepreneurs, digital marketing executives, patent strategists, and the next generation of high-tech billionaires.